Hey everybody, it's your girl Nail XJW. How are you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in to this beautiful video. Beautiful video. Yes, it is because I am back on the Blue Lotus Awakenings channel and I have so much to share with you. And I'm sure that my subscribers may have questions as to where have I been? Where have you been, Nail? Well, let me put it to you like this. And let me go ahead and um, let you know what my concerns are. And my concerns were first of all, my primary reason for creating this channel is because, number one, I want to support and help everyone who is curious, who may be worried, who may be doubting, who may feel this thing within inside of them that is screaming that being one of Jehovah's Witnesses is just not for them. Or there may be a voice inside that's screaming, there is something wrong with this religion. And that feeling is growing so much inside of some of you that you have begun to research, you have begun to make that conscious decision to go down that rabbit hole and discover what it is that's gnawing at your insides about being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And that is what this channel is for. It's for this group of people who feel that something is wrong, something is amiss. There is something that is not computing with you as to how your values, your morals, are lining up with what the Jehovah's Witness organization and the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses have prescribed for its 8 million followers. This video, this channel, I also created it to help young people who are being raised as Jehovah's Witnesses. This channel is also for them, for you, because I grew up in this religion, in this cult. So I know about the indoctrination. I know about the pressure that you're feeling. I know about the struggles that you are having as a young person trying to make your way, trying to be able to grasp the world. And there are things that you would like to do. You have dreams, you have goals, but those dreams and those talents and those goals that you have in your heart and in your mind, Jehovah's Witnesses, by way of the governing body, is trying to snuff that out of you. And you want to break free, but you are afraid. You do not know where to start. That's why this channel is for you. That's why I have created this channel, or I wanted to create this channel. Another reason why I created this channel is to help and support those who are coming out of the Jehovah's Witness organization. I want you to feel the support. I want you to know that you are valuable, that you can do this. You can make a life outside of being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's going to take time, but you can do it. You can do it. And I want to help be part of the community that you turn to and that you lean on for that support. And finally, this is for all of those who have decided within themselves that they want to leave this organization for whatever the reasons may be. But you've realized that the truth is not the truth. and you are ready to move forward, but you do not know how to do so, how to break away, how to leave the organization. Because if you leave, you'll be leaving a network of people, who have become family to you, who have become friends to you and your family. You are afraid. And this channel is created and was created for you. So there are so many things that went into my reasoning in starting this YouTube channel. And I took baby steps at first. Let me be honest with you. I was going back and forth on whether or not to start this channel and how to start this channel. Should I start it using my face, a video of who I am? And I decided that I would go ahead and do that. But as I got into posting videos and I started seeing that people were actually tuning in, I knew that what I wanted to do and what I had to do is I had to protect my family, because I am a faded Jehovah's Witness. I left the organization in 2014, and that was one of the hardest things that I had to do. My entire family are Jehovah's Witnesses. My husband's family is Jehovah's Witnesses, are Jehovah's Witnesses. And my husband and my son are still practicing Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's just, I want to protect my husband. My husband is a breast cancer survivor, and we went through the battle of his life in 2022, going straight through 2023. And in February of this year, he was declared cancer-free. But this has been a real journey for us, and I need to protect my husband. I want to protect my grandmother, who is 93, and she is one of Jehovah's Witnesses and has been one of Jehovah's Witnesses since the late 60s. And so are my parents and my brother and my sister-in-law. I have just lots of family and roots in being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I have to also say that here's a term that Jehovah's Witnesses like to use, that I have a spiritual legacy, being that my grandmother's uncle was started one of the first Black congregations in Georgia. He was what they called at the time a colporteur, which is what missionary or regular pioneer speak in today's modern society of Jehovah's Witnesses. And my grandmother said that my uncle, my great uncle, I want to say great uncle, that's who he would be, my great uncle, that he, used to hold meetings in my great grandfather's backyard. So that's how she and her brother were exposed to Jehovah's Witnesses. At the time, they were called International Bible Students, but that's how she was exposed to it. So she had been going to the meetings on and off since the 30s, late 30s, early 40s. And then she decided to get baptized in the late 60s. So, I have this thing when I say that I was thoroughly indoctrinated into the Jehovah's Witness organization. I was. But then something happened to me when I was about 12 or 13 years old. I was suspended from school, and I was suspended from middle school for fighting. And I'm not a fighter, but as a Jehovah's Witness kid, I definitely was not a fighter. But I had a situation where I was being bullied, and I decided that I was going to fight back. And I did. And so I was suspended from school for 5 days. So the other boy got 2 weeks. Yes, and it was a boy. But anyhow, my dad was a ministerial servant in our congregation, and it was his responsibility to take care of the library and most congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses back in the 60s, 70s, even maybe today, they have a library. But in this library, in this particular Kingdom Hall, which was the second Kingdom Hall built in the Detroit area, this Kingdom Hall had every Watchtower publication going all the way back to the very first Watchtower back in the late 1800s. So my father was responsible for this library, and he had to his job was to put labels inside of these books to let people know that these books were the property of this particular congregation. So my father, he didn't want to do it. And so since I had got suspended from school, it was my job to do that. So I started going through all of these publications. He would bring them home in a box, and I would go through them and I would manually write inside the book, this is the property of the so-and-so congregation. And so as I was doing that, I came across a lot of different information. And I was a reader. I love to read. So I read everything. So when I say to you that at certain points in my Jehovah's Witness career that I was thoroughly indoctrinated, I was. I've read most of the publications from the late 1800s, the Watchtower, the companion magazine to the Watchtower was the Consolation, and then it went to the Awake magazine. I've read the books. I've read all of Charles Taze Russell's books, and it was because of some of his books that got me interested or piqued my interest in Egyptology, because a lot of the dates and the numerology that Jehovah's Witnesses use today, that's where Charles Taze Russell got them from. He got them from Egyptology. So that piqued my interest as a young person. And I read everything. I read all the books from, like I said, from the from the late 19th century all the way up until, let's say, the late 60s. And of course, I was already, I'm a young Jehovah's Witness kid in the 70s. So of course, you know that we study all of the publications that was published by Jehovah's Witnesses in the 70s and 80s. So I'm very much aware of Jehovah's Witness doctrine. And at this juncture in 2024, I'm also well aware of how that doctrine has changed. But as a 13-year-old, as I read a lot of the books, even then, in the late 70s, I understood that there were some holes or cracks within the religion. For instance, when you read this book called Children by Jehovah's Witnesses, and I read that book, I read it like a novel. As a matter of fact, I read all of the books from the, like I said, from the, the late 19th century going into the 20th century. Some of those books from 1900 and maybe 5 all the way up to the 1940s, you could read them like novels. They had, and it was a lot. It was a lot of ridiculousness in them that I didn't understand. But the book Children was written like a novel, and it was about two young people who liked each other, but and both of their families were Jehovah's Witnesses or Bible students, and they were deciding to get married. Okay, and so while they were deciding to get married, they would have Bible study together to try to figure out how they were going to establish their family. And at the end of the book, we learn that they've decided that they're not going to have children, because they want to get married and become full-time pioneers. And because they believe that the end of the world is imminent, is coming, then they decide that they will have children in a new world. So this book called Children, after I read it, and I'm 13 years old, and I'm like, what? You decided you're not going to have any kids because the end of the world is coming? When was this book made? When was this book published? What? And it is now almost 1980. Oh my God. Think about it, and those were the first cracks within me that I was like, this don't make no sense. This don't make no sense. It's a really good read. You should read it. It's called Children. It might be on Google, or it might be on Amazon or something like that. But it's a really great book. You should check it out, even if it's just for entertainment purposes, because like I said, the book Children is written like a novel, but at the end you realize these two people are going to get married and they're not going to have any children because they believe the end is right around the corner. And then here we are in 2024, and you have the governing body telling you, oh, the end is near, but the end is not really near. The end, we're in the last of the final part of the last days. And then you have the broadcast from this month that where someone is they have like a video play acting thing where you have a young man that's really, really like, oh yes, the end is coming, we got to do this and that and the other. And then you have the people who brought him into the religion telling him he needs to slow down and stop worrying about the end. Worry about it, but don't worry about it. What kind of sense does that make? But what I'm saying is that in 2024, just think of all the people who got that book. And I think it came out like in the early 30s, that book called Children, or was it the late 20s or early 30s? I have to look it up. But just think of all the people, the young people who got married back then and who decided that they weren't going to have any children because the end was coming. The end was right around the corner. So think about all the people who got married and decided not to have children because the end was coming. All of those people who read that book, they're dead now. Okay, they're not here, and they didn't have any children. So you have to ask yourself, as I asked myself back then in the late 70s, early 80s, there's something wrong with this religion. And as a young person, when I read the publications from that time period, the end was, the end was supposed to come when? In 1914, the end was supposed to come in what? 1925, I mean, the end was supposed to come what? In 1975. The end has been coming for a very long time. But in the meanwhile, how are you going to live your life? And that's why Jehovah's Witnesses are considered a doomsday religion, because their focus is on the end of something that there is no end to. This planet is going to be here forever. Now, yes, we as human beings, we have a life cycle, just as the trees have a life cycle, just as animals have a life cycle. We all have, even stars or planets have life cycles. So we in this universe have a life cycle. It's called, it's a circle of life. It's just how it is. But Jehovah's Witnesses want you to believe that the end of humanity as we know it is right around the corner, and that Jehovah is going to step in and he's going to bring this earth world back to a paradise condition as was described in the Bible with Adam and Eve. So there's that. But in the meantime, you have a situation where you're reading these publications and you're doing all of these things, and you're doing it in hopes of when the end comes that Jehovah will see you in a favorable light and save you. And that's how I was raised. So with me coming out of the Jehovah's Witness organization in 2014, it was a big thing because I had left a couple of times before that. I left back in my late teens. I left in my 20s. And then I came back, and I came back because, it was stressful for my husband. My husband got baptized in 1992, and he was raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses as well. And so together, that was going to be our walk. Our walk was going to be as Jehovah's Witnesses. And it got to the point for me where I started seeing a lot of things that really made me once again rethink where I wanted to be as a woman. And when the information came out about the timeline of the anointed and the overlapping anointed and all this other bullshit, that really got me to thinking again. I was like, no, I really do not believe that Jehovah is, operating or running this organization. I really don't. I think that this is a manipulation tactic, because when you are, well, for me, I was raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses to believe that the anointed were going to eventually die off and go to heaven. And when that happens, the Great Tribulation was going to start. And there might be, a small remnant of the 144,000 still remaining here on earth when that Great Tribulation happens. But eventually they were going to be die some kind of way, and they were going to go to heaven. That's the way I was taught. So when things began to change, start to trickle down change in the 90s, early 2000s, I was like, this is really not the truth. They like to say, well, the light gets brighter and brighter and brighter. Yeah, but eventually, the sun is at its highest peak at what, 12 noon? So, where are we in the stream of time as Jehovah's Witnesses with this light getting brighter and brighter? Are we still at the 6 a.m. level? Are we at 7 o'clock yet? I don't know. But anyhow, I had to, when I went ahead and told my husband that I was leaving again for good in 2014, I really believed that my marriage was going to was over, because I did not think that it would survive. And maybe I'll do a video about that later. But as time progressed, because my husband loved me and he wanted to keep our family together, it became a situation where I don't want to say I acquiesced. I want to say that I became the person that I want my husband to be and that he is becoming. I support him and I support my son, and I have another son that's inactive, that's thinking about coming back. I support them in their journey, but I also expect and demand that they support me in my journey and what I'm doing with my life. And if I don't sit back and criticize them about their walk, I don't want them to criticize me. And that is where we are in 2024. That was when I left 2014, 10 years ago. Oh my God, my house was a mess. My household was a mess because, my husband at the time, he was in training. He was almost at the point of becoming an elder. He had his own field service group, and he had a lot of responsibilities, and he was at that point. And there were some things that had gone on in the congregation that I had noted, that I saw, that I didn't approve of, I didn't like, and that I just felt like I could not go any further. And so I stopped attending meetings. And it really happened kind of in a very interesting manner, because our Kingdom Hall was was getting ready to be renovated, and we were assigned to another Kingdom Hall, and so it became easy for me to stop attending meetings. And then after the Kingdom Hall was finished, I just stopped going. I had at the time maybe 5 or 6 Bible studies that I assigned to other people, because I just felt that I could not continue to study with them. And that was another part of my story that I don't think that I talked about, or maybe I did, about Bible studies and what Bible studies really are. Bible studies are not studies, as we like to call it as Jehovah's Witnesses, or as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, we call them studies. But they're not really studies. They're the same thing that happens at the Kingdom Hall. There's a paragraph. The answer that Jehovah's Witnesses want you to decipher is in the paragraph. There's a question that's at the bottom, and then you look in the paragraph for the answer, and that's it. And when you master your so-called Bible studies, then you progress to getting baptized. And the thing is, Bible studies are nothing but recruitment sessions. Let's be honest. Bible studies are recruitment sessions. So, I had made the hard decision to leave, and then my son was my oldest son. He was going through a phase in his life as a young teenager. Well, as a teenager, I think he was like 16 then, and he wanted to wear his hair and wear afro. He liked to sometimes wear a goatee. And, I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with that because he was experimenting with being a man. He's growing into becoming a man. And the problem with the elders in our congregation was they kept suppressing him. They kept telling him to cut his hair down, cut your hair down, cut that goatee off. You're not going to be able to go out field service if you got a little goatee. My son was 16, 17 years old, so yes, he had an afro and he would cut it. But then he said, I'm tired of cutting my hair. I'm not going to cut it. I'm going to do what I want to do. And that caused a little strife and stress between my husband and my son because my husband was training on his way to being an elder. And the saying, if you don't have control over your household, how are you going to handle God's business, right? And so it got to the point where, I had told my husband, just, it's not worth it arguing with our son about his hair and about his suits. Oh, came down to the suits. Oh, your suit is too tight. Your pants is too short. Why are you wearing multicolored socks? It was a hot mess, So that's one of the reasons why my son, eventually he left home and moved in with his girlfriend and started doing other things. And he wanted to live his life without being stressed out and pressured. I understood that. But my husband is still one of Jehovah's Witnesses. He's still active. He doesn't go to the meetings as much. He watches on Zoom because of his compromised immune system. And I decided when I decided to start making YouTube videos for this channel, at first I was cool with just letting my face be seen. But then as I started getting more views on some of my videos, I realized that I could possibly start something within my family, within our families, that I was just not comfortable with. Both of our grandmothers are in their 90s. Well, my husband's grandmother is 100, turned 100 in February. My grandmother is 93. So, at this point in time, I just do not feel that it's right, the right time for me to come onto YouTube and to just show my face and possibly expose who I am and expose my family and my husband. And that's the most important person that I am concerned with right now is my husband. And I don't want to bring any type of grief on top of him, even though I could care less if one of the elders from our congregation called me. They've been to my home. They've asked me when I'm going out field service, why am I still inactive and all the other stuff. And I told them point blank, the reason why I don't go to the hall anymore, when I don't go out field service anymore, it's like this. When you guys start acknowledging that there is a SA problem within the Jehovah's Witness organization, once you guys start realizing that, then perhaps I will come back to the hall or maybe go out field service again. It's only then. I'm not doing it. And there have been a couple of meetings that the elders have come to my home to talk to my husband and I have said that. I have said it repeatedly, so do not expect me to go out and field service. Don't expect me to do any of that stuff. Even when it got down, you can just say, you can say 1 hour, you could say 15 minutes, or you could just say, boom, I was active this month. And I made the conscious decision that I was going to revamp my YouTube channel and do it in this manner. And so I hope that you guys continue to rock with me, Thank you so much to everyone who subscribed. I had a challenge, a 500 subscriber challenge, and I believe that I am at 503. So I really appreciate everyone that has subscribed to the channel. And if you have not already subscribed, please do, because I will continue to bring out or put out content of this nature, but in podcast form. I hope you guys can understand that. As I said before, I made a decision not to send a letter in to the congregation disassociating myself. Maybe I'll talk about that in another video, why I decided not to do that. But basically, I really don't have any respect. I don't have any respect for the elders there. I don't have any respect for them. I don't have any respect for the hierarchy, the governmental system of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I feel like I am not accountable to them. And I don't have to write a letter. You will see by my actions whether or not I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'm putting everything in their ball, in their court. If they want to disfellowship me, that's fine. I've been disfellowshipped before, so that's fine. But my thing is, I'm never going to stop advocating for young people who are in this organization, who want to come out and who are afraid. I'm never going to stop advocating for people who are doubting, who are starting to feel and hear certain things in their heart telling them that they need to leave. I'm never going to stop advocating for them. I'm never going to stop advocating for people who have left the organization and who need support and love and understanding. I'm never going to stop advocating for them. I'm never going to turn my back on people who have decided that they do not want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. I'm never going to be that person. I'm always going to be an advocate for them. And that is the whole purpose of this channel. So I hope that you will be able to continue to join me on my journey here on the Blue Lotus Awakenings channel. And if you feel that you're in a situation where, like myself, if you feel like you want to be in a situation where you want to leave being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I hope you choose this channel to be your support system. But that's where I've been all this time. That's why I haven't been around, and why I'm going to get to the point where all of my videos will be in this podcast style. So I guess that is all. I will be posting videos to this channel every Tuesday and Thursday. I believe today is Tuesday. So I'll be posting videos here every Tuesday and Thursday. And the videos that I did have uploaded, I'm going to eventually transmute them. No, I'm going to eventually redo them into podcast form. And so all of that information will be re-uploaded to the channel. So once again, if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. If you haven't already hit the like button, please hit that like button. And if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please let me know. And if you have any topics that you would like for me to discuss on this channel, please let me know and do so. And I thank you so much. I will see you on Thursday. Blessed be.